everyone has gotten a copy of the accounting documents, correct? Everyone saw them. So we have frequently talked about accounting, the end of our year audit, the taxes, our financials. I've spent time talking with Stephanie and Rachel. Ronnie attended a meeting with the CPA. I think we have three options to look at for the accounting. We solicit bids for a forensic audit, which we can certainly do. But the costs in general that we've heard range anywhere from $25,000 up to $750,000, depending on the scope of what you want to do. The other option is to solicit bids for work to be done on agreed upon terms, meaning that we're very specific about what it is that we want to look at in terms of an audit. As opposed to just saying, a general forensic audit, because that can run into a lot of money very quickly. And that if we have specific concerns that we have about certain items, certain issues, that would be another option. Or we accept what we have received and vote on it and move the process along. So those are basically the three areas as I see it. And I'll open it up for discussion to the board on the accounting issue.
Well, we went into this, we, the new board members, went into this pretty blindly with very little history. There's a lot of money that we're talking about. Our budget has grown exponentially over the years. We're talking millions of dollars.
Yes.
And just looking at the balances in some of our reserve accounts, I don't know if it's a result of the door fees or just accumulations, but I really think that if there's an excess there, that should be returned to the homeowner. That is my thought. As far as the audit, we can formulate whatever we want to find out and extract from an audit and put it out for bids. I think for what we need done, I don't think the numbers are quite as high as you had stated, Paul, but I could be wrong too. But we need to get the new board members need to get a good handle on what has happened, at least for the last 2 years, with Towngate.
Yeah, I agree with that because that's kind of my comment because some of the expenditures over the last 2 years, I think we really need a detailed look at some of that stuff to see what was spent and why it was spent. For us to be comfortable to have a plan going forward, and we really need to have not just a short-term plan, but a long-term plan as well. And I'm on your side with the comment, Bruce, that if we took money from our homeowners that we have in excess of what our study says or what we need for reserves, then we should figure out a way of having homeowners be relieved of some of that. It doesn't have to be giving back funds, but reducing the fee for a quarter or something that we can do creatively to make that happen, right? So I think...
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we don't need to find a place to spend it because we've got it.
Right.
That mindset may have been in place years ago, but we're not in that position anymore. We've got to run a much tighter ship because of everything that's happened in the last year. There are a lot of people that don't have those extra dollars to support a higher HOA fee. So I think we need to let the homeowners know that we're trying to protect their interests.
Yeah, I mean, my thought on it is and this is where I think the sub-associations come into play, that there may be projects that the sub-associations have just been putting off because they know they'll have to do special assessments. That was my thought in terms terms of if we've got dollars, and I think there's also a consideration in terms of how much money can you have in reserve before you start to be a nonprofit, and so there's some consideration in terms of how that should operate. I'm not an accountant by any stretch of the imagination. I just know it's something to be looked at and reviewed. And I'm always I'll be to be completely open about this. Is in my sub association we have a need that has been hanging over our heads literally for years that we need to address, having to do with overgrown trees and so on. It's going to be a costly project. And I don't know if other sub-associations have similar, issues and items that they've been wanting, whether it's repaving roads or... I just think it's something that maybe we put in the mix as a discussion, that's all.
Well, I mean, the other thing is that we could take part of that money and send it back to the sub. Or I'm sure every subdivision in Towngate needs major paving, not blacktopping, not painting the road. We need new streets, and we're not getting it from the city because I don't understand that. We do pay our property taxes, but we don't seem to, because of our status, we don't seem to receive any benefit of that. But I know that we are looking at it in classic landings, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
It's not a cheap expenditure, and we only have a single loop. And there are so many other developments that have a lot more streets than we do, which will cost a whole lot more. But we've already done our tree removal, replacement, sidewalks. A lot of the other subs have done so as well, or are in the process of doing it. But those are the two main expenditures that every subdivision is going to have to look at.
Right, infrastructure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would like to say something when the board's done. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Rui.
Okay, I totally agree with Bruce and Chris that, and also Paul's suggestion. I think if I remember correctly, the option 2. I think we should do a limited group, our group limited to reserve limited group, and we focus on 2019. Because in the last board meeting in February, I reported that there are 280,000 unauthorized spending. And this spending was not included in the annual budget either. So therefore, we should conduct a forensic audit for 2019 for the reserve, focus, and limited. And the estimate cost, after my research, for a forensic audit for this scope is between 7,500 to 10,000.
So you're probably thinking of a agreed upon terms. So that scope of 2019 specifically on the reserve liabilities, correct?
And yes, forensic audit.
It's a scope. It's an agreed upon terms. What it is that you would solicit a third-party auditor, not your current one that you use to do your end-of-year financials, is you would solicit somebody else to say, hey, we have this, we want you to audit it specifically on the reserve components and give us detailed information as it relates to this. That's agreed upon terms. And we would get their hourly rate and we would determine what that cost would be and they would provide us a proposal.
Rachel, I have already talked to several the forensic auditor, and I know the price. So this motion has also, I would like also with the board member, a committee to solicitate the overall the RFP and the bids. And so the board, basically the board committee decided to choose which forensic audit company. It's not a...
Do you mean which forensic accounting company to solicit, or which to select from the solicitations? I'm not really sure what you're asking.
So like the Comcast contractor, the renegotiation, Bruce and I'm also happy for this forensic audit. One of you guys, we can have a committee to select which forensic audit company. We will interview more company and make the decision.
The committee should not decide that. The board should decide that.
Okay,
The board will decide. The committee will just make a recommendation to the board, based on their review.
Okay, that's okay with me.
Okay.
I can make the motion. Are you ready, Paul? Or go ahead, Paul.
Go ahead, Chris. Yes, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying I could make the motion, but if you have a comment before, that's fine.
No. The only thing is, and I'm not entirely sure. Again, I'm not an accountant, but we talk about unauthorized expenses. I'm not sure that an audit would reveal if you want to connect minutes to action. Does an accounting firm do that? Do you know?
The accounting firm will not necessarily say it's unauthorized. The only thing that an accounting firm will, they could say, hey, this is not necessarily maybe a reserve expenditure, maybe it was an operating expenditure, and they would make recommendations for reclassifications, things like that. So, in other words, what my recommendation would be is I would like to see Rui put down on paper what it is exactly that she's looking for and share it with everybody so that way we can clearly understand it. We as your management company are here to be that person to solicit the bids and bring back to the board of directors on what it is that needs to happen. So I would actually like to see what it is so we can clearly understand the whole picture and help you guys.
Yeah, and that's fine. And, we can provide what Rui has done. We could provide a list of contacts that we want to get the bids from, more or less.
Absolutely.
We can make that list shorter to who, based on her research. I'm fine with that. So I like to make that motion. Oh, you want to say something before I make the motion?
Yeah, Rui has her hand up. Go ahead, Rui.
Go ahead, Rui.
Okay, I want to, pause the question. So we want to do the forensic audit. So they will review everything, including the minute and everything CPO report. The thing more than I can review it. So now come back to Rachel's question. So management company, you as a company do the basic accounting. You send every month the financial report. So basically, if the board decide to do the forensic audit, you are the subject, so we want to audit, in our audit include your company. So I disagree that you, for service, participate to select the forensic audit company.
I didn't say we were selecting anybody. Only thing that I said is that we were going to assist in getting bids from companies as it relates to some that you would recommend, some that we may know. That's all I made a recommendation to say.
I appreciate your help, but I think myself and another board member, we can do it. And some homeowners committee can also help. Thank you.
Right. So I think the only thing that we'd want management to do in that case, based on what we were saying, is just to solicit the vendors that we've selected. Right, so
that's the only thing I was saying, Chris. That's the only thing I was saying.
Right. Okay. So I'd like to make the motion that we create a statement of work for solicitation of a vendor to perform the forensic audit on 2019 reserve fundings. Or funds. Did I get that complete, Rui?
Reserve.
I don't think it should be limited. I don't think it should be limited to reserves.
Okay.
I think we need to look at it all.
All right, good. She started with reserves, so we can actually just say 2019. The association funds for 2019 reserves and the operating funds.
Okay, I just want to be clear about what the motion is now. So are we, Rui, help me out with this. So are we suggesting that the management company have nothing to do with it, or we're okay with them, like as we say, we'd like to look at 2019, and then they put together the RFP or the RLA, whatever it needs to do, to put it out to the community, and then we review the proposals, correct?
Not
okay
totally correct. So basically, not totally correct. So we will find the audit company, and the board will interview directly. And we hope and we appreciate the management company cooperation.
So just to be clear, Rui, she doesn't want management to have any involvement in the bidding or discussion about the project.
Yeah, but that's difficult to manage, right? I mean,
Correct.
we don't want
Absolutely.
to be managing that, Rui. We can provide the vendors, and they just have to do the work. We have to let management work for us because they work for us. We pay them. We can't let them be here for free and not do anything, right? So I think we should have actually send out to the vendors that we've selected. It's okay. We're the ones selecting the vendor. We're the ones making the decision.
No.
Oh, I agree, Chris. No, the management company can formulate the RFP based on what we want.
Of course.
Right.
I mean, that's their job.
Right.
And that's all. And that's really all that we require of them. Find,
Right.
send out the bids to the people that we designate, and the board will work with them.
That's right.
Right. I want to make sure that
It has to be separate.
Right. That's what I want to make sure. That's what we're agreeing to. The last thing I want to do is that we advocate, that the management company doesn't really have to do anything with it, because I mean they have a role and responsibility, but they report to us, not the other way around. So as information comes in, let's say we have 5 agencies that have responded at different rates and prices, and then it's up to the board to select who. I mean, as it would be anyway. So I just want to make sure that the motion, Rui? Is that what you're okay with that, right? That the management company would do the mechanics of it, so to speak.
So yes, they can send the letter and the stamp, but what the motion has to be made that the management company has to be cooperative, but they cannot select and decide the audit company.
You don't have that authority anyway.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Chris, let's rename your motion to make sure we got it right. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I just want to be clear because I don't want to come back and then we have to do another motion and correct it. So restate your motion so we can, for the record.
All right. So the motion is to create a statement of work and solicit vendors to facilitate a audit of the 2019 financials for Towngate Association, and this process will be assisted or helped by our management company sending out to the vendors that we have selected to send out these requests to.
Okay.
It's very long, but that's
Forensic audit, pretty good, Chris.
Forensic.
But don't forget forensic audit, very important. And the budget is up to 10,000.
All right. Do we have a second on the motion?
I second.
Bruce seconds. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, let's all vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed? Okay.